AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Did you know only 6% of people are getting enough fiber? That's why Quaker created Fiber February, a month-long movement to show your gut a little more love. It's like dry January, only easier and more delicious. Quaker has over 100 delicious options that are a good source of fiber. So go buy Quaker Oats today and join the Fiber February movement for a healthy gut.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Cologuard. Do you know what's really scary? Not screening for colon cancer when you turn 45. The Cologuard test is non-invasive, requires no special prep or time off work, and ships right to your door. In just 3 simple steps, Cologuard takes the scare out of colon cancer screening. If you're 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about the Cologuard test. Cologuard is available by prescription only. Learn more or request a prescription today at Cologuard.com/screen.
Hey there, Duke fans. Welcome to episode 807 of the Duke Basketball Roundup. We are coming to you. It's Saturday morning. It is 12:17 a.m. Duke is still playing basketball in the ACC tournament after a 73-61 win over the Clemson Tigers. I am Donald Wine. I'm your host for this episode. Jason Evans is with me. Jason, I'm tired. You're tired. Hi. We're still playing basketball.
Yeah, we're still playing basketball. A considerably less stressful evening tonight than the one we experienced last night against Florida State. I know there are a lot of people out there who are sort of searching for answers. Is Duke's defense broken without Patrick Gungba to protect the rim and without Caleb Foster to be a great sort of number 2 perimeter defender? Or does maybe Florida State just sort of have Duke's number or something like that? I think we learned the answer pretty definitively tonight when the Blue Devils just held Clemson at bay. And this was never a competitive game in the entire second half, Donald. And before we get to the headlines, can I start with this? Donald, somewhere out there, I don't know, maybe in the Midwest, like someone who watches a ton of Big Ten basketball and just doesn't get a chance to watch a lot of the ACC, or maybe on the West Coast. Somewhere on the West Coast, there's a guy who, just didn't get home in time to watch Atlantic Coast Conference basketball. He really mostly watches the West Coast team. Somewhere out there, there are people who vote for the National Coach of the Year awards. And there are people, I know this is going to be hard to believe, but bear with me for a moment. There are people who vote for that award who have cast their ballot for someone other than Jon Scheyer. And I think that right now at this moment, with 2 of Duke's starters not available and Duke still throttling teams that are going to make the NCAA tournament, those people are probably feeling kind of foolish at this moment because what Jon Scheyer has done is absolutely incredible. We can get into it a little bit in this game. The way Duke ran their offense, the way Duke ran their defense was different than they have all year. And yet, didn't matter. He still has this team performing in a way where they're taking, top 30-ish kind of teams like Clemson and giving them no hope whatsoever.
I mean, look, I'll keep it as simple as this. There's an old saying, I believe it's something in the United Kingdom that says, keep calm and carry on. I'm going to amend that. It's keep calm and go Blue Devils, because that's what happened tonight. Everyone who was kind of worried about the 7-man rotation, as I mentioned yesterday on our pod, I said, you can find heaven with 7. And we took another step tonight towards that goal of reaching the heaven that is the 6th national championship with this win over the Clemson Tigers. Let's get to the headlines. And Jason, we had a bunch of headlines that came in right as the horn sounded. I have a couple.
Here's the thing, Donald. When you win a game in a blowout like this, and where the storylines kind of develop pretty early, the Kaden Boozer and Nick Himemenia complementary storyline developed early on. I think folks were ready. That buzzer sounded, and people were like, "Send."
Yeah, it wasn't like a enormous number. It wasn't like 50 or 60. But again, we had some people who were ready, and we even had a couple people who said, "I know you don't like headlines during this game, so I'm just letting you know that as soon as the game is over, I'm going to send the headline." Thank you. Do not send them during the game, because Jason, you and I watch these games differently, and I watch it sometimes where I have to be on my computer, and I promise you, the people who send in headlines during the game, they almost always have something happen where that headline is obsolete, or at the very least, superstition. I'm a superstitious person when I'm superstitious. So with that, let's get to the headlines. And I want to start with Jacob Franks. And Jacob Franks
you took the best one. This is the best one.
Yeah. He said, "The K is silent. The killer isn't. Himemenia has arrived." That one was the best one of the night. So I wanted to lead with that one because that one was great.
Man, that is so good. The K is silent. The killer isn't. Oh, Jacob, chef's kiss, my friend. So, like I said, the other storyline was our man Kaden Boozer, and Jason Beer gave us Kayden the Conqueror, Clemson completely cooked.
Yeah, I had that one as well. I have Mark Esselstein, or Esselstein, right? Yeah, it's Esselstein. Forgive me. He wrote, "In the nick of time, N-I-K, of time, Devils role players roll the Tigers and into the ACC title game."
Yeah, you know what? How about you keep on doing the Khamenia ones, and I'll do the Kaden Boozer ones, because I've got Matthew Green, who gave us Kayden can and Clemson can't, as Blue Devils bounce back beautifully.
Didn't he have the one that said, "Oh, Kayden," and something else? Because he said something. There was someone who, I don't have it in front of me. Someone wrote, "Oh, Kayden," but it was Kayden.
Right.
So I'm appreciative of that. Those, Jason, those are the only ones I got. So if you have one more, go ahead.
I got one more. Larry Chapman. A lot of B's here. You get ready for it. "Boozer brothers bring bully ball. Brownell's boys become bystanders." I thought that was good.
Yep.
And then, all right, Norris David. Norris knows what's coming. Everyone else is like, what is Jason setting up here? I'm not sure I can do this justice, but Norris Davis gave it this, and I'm going to try and pull it off. He said, "I have to do this in my Hulk Hogan voice."
Oh, yeah. I saw this one.
You ready? "What you going to do when Himemenia runs wild on you?"
You get ready for an ACC final. That's what you do. So let's get into the good from this game. And instead of Nick, I know Nick is going to be 1A, but I want to start with Kaden Boozer because, again, there are times where you have a player go down and you kind of try to replace them by committee. And in the case of Caleb Foster going down, a point guard is hard to replace by committee. Sure, people can bring the ball up, and we saw that both yesterday and tonight. It wasn't just Kaden Boozer that brought the ball up. But Kaden Boozer tonight took a giant leap towards saying, Caleb's down, I got his back. I got his responsibilities. I got all of the production that he is bringing. 16 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist. And sure, he only had 1 assist, but I'm not necessarily worried about that because, again, he was instrumental in getting the ball across the timeline. He was instrumental in keeping the ball in play. And he decided tonight that he needed to match the production level with the scoring and scoring from everywhere. And I think that he took a giant leap towards not just with the production, but with the confidence. This team looked at Kaden Boozer and said, hey, number 2, you're our guy. Number 1's down. Number 2's up. And you are our guy. And I think that was where the whole team kind of embraced Kayden in a way that said, you're going to take this ball and you're going to help us deliver this victory. And I think Kaden Boozer was one of the, again, many reasons, but he was an instrumental part of why this lead, where it was early on kind of back and forth between Duke and Clemson, he was instrumental in helping us stretch this lead out to a point where it was 20 points at a certain point. And I just love the fact that he stepped up in a time where a lot of people were probably asking questions about what he could provide on the offensive end. And I didn't have any problems with, or I didn't have any questions about what he had, but people have those questions because this is the crash all culture. Everyone's going to sit there and we win by 1 point against Florida State. Everyone goes, the sky is falling. Tonight, he said, the sky will fall no more in Charlotte. I will hold up this team. I will hold up the sky, and I will hold up Duke as we go to the final.
Look, at the half, the Boozer twins, Cameron and Kayden, had 22 points, and Clemson had 22 points. I mean, that's simply incredible. Kayden had a career high 16 points. And what I loved about it was last game, Kayden took 5 3-pointers, 5 wide open 3-pointers. Duke had him staying outside. They were, Florida State was sloughing off of him. He wasn't playing the kind of game he wants to play. And 24 hours later, he said, I'm going to play and do the things that I do best. He took 2 3-pointers. He hit one of them. He took 2 3-pointers in this game because he knows I'm not the guy to stand outside and take outside shots. I'm the guy that if they give me space, I'm going to eat up that space and attack the rim. I'm the guy who's a guard who finishes really well athletically around the basket from difficult angles. And that's what he did against Clemson again and again and again. And I just love that 24 hours after a game where I think most Duke fans were like, we are sunk. We don't have a point guard. What are we going to do? This guy can't get it done. He turns around and has a game like this where he gets those 16 points and just looked calm, looked in control at all times, really had, I thought, an outstanding game. He doesn't have a lot of assists because, frankly, he's not really the point guard. Like, his brother's the point guard, and we'll talk about a little bit more about that. But Kayden finding a way to impact this game and really causing problems for the opposition, that's it, man. That's the formula right there for him.
Well, look, I'm not one of those people who thought that after yesterday, like, the question that you mentioned, some people saying, oh, do we have a point guard? Do we have this?
Oh, I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying it was you.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I thought that a lot of people took yesterday's result and said the sky is falling. Like we're in trouble. Right? I saw that online all over the place. People saying that Duke doesn't have an answer for Caleb and Pat being out. And again, as I mentioned last night, I said 7 guys are going. This is not going to be a tournament where we're going to blow everybody out by 30. I'm the man who loves blowouts. I love blowouts. I was not expecting this tonight because even in the first 15 minutes of this ball game, it was still very close. But then you kind of look down, you go, we're up 10. Oh, we're up 15. Oh, we're up 20. And it was, again, a result of not just Kayden, but Kayden was a real big, again, he took a lot more responsibility tonight. And I think the team between last night and tonight said, yo, man, we got confidence in you. Have confidence in yourself. So I'm really glad that he was able to step up in that regard. His sidekick tonight, just for sake of purposes, we're going to come back to him. But Kaden Boozer had 24 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, and a block. I'm not talking about him yet. I'm talking about Nick Himemenia because Nick Himemenia was the sidekick tonight. He was the guy that said, you got Kayden, you got juice? I got juice too. He had 14 points. He had 6 rebounds. He had an assist, and he had a steal. And I don't think that quantifies the production that he provided for Duke tonight. It was just incredible how he was able to remain calm. And I think just over the past couple of weeks, we have seen the emergence of both Cayden and Nick as guys who they've essentially graduated from being freshmen, right? Like we have that point where some of our freshmen just kind of everything slows down. They go, yep, we are relying on them with more responsibility as if they are not freshmen where this is their first year of basketball and this is their first ACC tournament. I thought those guys stepped up beautifully tonight, and it shows what happens when two guys who for the most part of the season were on the bench as substitutes and not starters, what happens when you give them more minutes, more responsibility, more roles, more duties, and more confidence. These guys showed up beautifully. Nick Himemenia, Kaden Boozer were tremendous when they were on the floor, and they really helped us break out this lead and win by 22 points.
Let me give you a little bit more on Nick Khamenia, who, by the way, has 23 points and 11 rebounds so far in the ACC tournament. And I think there's a very, very good argument that he has been Duke's third best player in the tournament so far, even though he's, playing the sixth man role. I text with you, I text with a bunch of different people. I said repeatedly during this game, Silent K makes winning plays. That's what I felt like I saw from him again and again. Look, you talked about the stats. How about the charge he drew? At a moment when Clemson was trying to fight their way back into it a little bit, and they're taking the ball, it's been tough for them to score. And they're taking the ball to the hoop for an easy bucket, and Nick steps in there and gets a really nice charge. He played solid defense the whole night. Look, a lot of the time in this game, he was, most of the season he's been playing on the wing. A lot of the time in this game, he was playing as Duke's second big. And that's going to happen a lot with Patrick Gungba out, but it happened even more in this game because Malik Brown was in that foul trouble. And almost all of Nick's minutes tonight, he played 31 minutes. I bet virtually every one of them he was playing as Duke's second biggest player on the floor, essentially playing power forward because that's what we need from him at this point. I just thought he was outstanding at making winning plays. And you said he had one assist. I'm going to mention a little bit later on. It was an incredibly sweet assist. He just played smart. And he also, like he did in the last game, he played a little bit of that point guard role. He brought the ball up the floor. Winning play, winning play, winning play. That's the thing that I'm seeing from him. And it couldn't come at a better time. I feel like this guy's unlocked something a little bit different, over the past couple of weeks.
And again, when you have, a guy like Cam Boozer, who we're going to talk about in just a second, you need guys who are going to complement him. And as we've seen this year, it's not always the same guy that steps up. Last night it was Slim. Tonight it was Cayden and Nick. Tomorrow, who knows who it could be. And I think that is what angers and also frustrates and terrifies opposing defenses, because they go, sure, we can try and stop number 12, but what's next? We don't know, because it could be Slim hitting threes. It could be Kaden Boozer providing offense. It could be Pat when he's in the game. It could be Caleb when he's in the game. There's too many options for me to start. Dame Sarr, it could be him. It could be Malik Brown. We have no idea where this offense is coming from. But I do want to shift to the constant North Star that is Cam Boozer. We forgot to mention this last night, but Jason, he was obviously named first team All-American in the Sporting News. He was the Sporting News National Player of the Year. Those are going to start rolling in, and don't be surprised if you hear his name multiple times throughout the course of the next couple of weeks with those type of awards. But 24 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. Again, I mentioned this, and a block. Again, there was times where we said, Cam, go get a bucket. There was times where Cam said, I'll get the bucket. Like, I'll get the rebound and we'll put it back in. It's hard to be a guy who produces the way that he does when everyone in the country tries to stop you from doing it. I'll just repeat what we've said many times during this year. We're witnessing some historic stuff here with Cam Boozer, and tonight was no exception.
Donald, we gloss over the numbers. 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists. That's a week for really good players. There are really good players out there.
Are you kidding me? It's a month.
I mean, It's absolutely incredible. And to me, the remarkable thing is that he's having to do it differently than he did earlier in the year, because Duke is basically, I mean, look, you saw it down in the final 10 minutes. Yeah, I was laughing. Like, Cayden would bring the ball up the floor, and as he would get close to half court, Cam would be like, okay, Mike, give it to me.
Yeah, give me the ball. Yeah.
The final 10 minutes, all Duke did was, Cam's going to get the ball at the, at the top of the circle, just outside the 3-point line, and we're just going to let him create. And Clemson never found an answer for it. He hits 3 out of 4 3-pointers. He's going downhill. Like, guys step out on him, he goes around them and goes downhill and gets to the bucket. Guys slough off of him, he shoots a 3 and drains it in their face. At one point, Corey Alexander, and believe me, it pains me to quote Corey Alexander in any way, but Corey had a good line. Corey goes, after Cam had hit one of the 3-pointers, he said, "That guy's a cheat code." He's right. I mean, it's like you're playing a video game and everyone else is sort of set on easy mode, and you've got the one player that's playing on hard. It's just like, it's absolutely incredible. He had that absurd, like, wrong-footed runner in the lane with about 1 minute left in the first half. He made that shot, and I saw several guys on Clemson, there were a couple guys on the bench, guys on the floor, just like drop their head, like, how are we supposed to defend this? There isn't a form. There's nothing that can be done to defend this. That's the kind of game that Kaden Boozer had.
Look, the 3-pointers that he hit, every single one of them were on possessions where it felt like Clemson was like, yo, this is a win. We played some great defense, and the end result is this guy over here, number 12, is going to take a 3. Oh, wait, it went in. Never mind. Let's just regroup down here on offense and see if we can get this back. It feels like a lot of teams, and that's just Clemson, but this year it feels like a lot of teams want the possession to end with Cam taking a 3, and with him hitting close to 40% of his threes, it's almost like where they go, oh, we forgot. This is not a good solution. The best solution for us is to get the ball out of number 12's hands, not leave him 25 feet from the basket with an open look, because he's going to hit, again, almost 40% of the time. I just, it's hard to fathom how teams try to beat you by trying to take the ball out of his hands, because he's so good, as you mentioned, at even starting the play. He starts the play, he runs the play, he ends the play. Yeah, sure, he doesn't take the ball across half court. Even at times today, he did that. But it's just amazing how he's able to score from anywhere on the floor, and a lot of his buckets are timely, whether it's off of the offensive rebound or, as you mentioned, the 3 threes that he hit. It just feels like when he hits a bucket, like you said, the other team just goes, what do you want us to do? Like, he's the best player in the country. What do you want us to do? He's going to get his 20 points. The hope is that you try to shut everybody else down, and tonight they weren't able to.
All right, we've talked about a bunch of players. I want to get to a big theme of this game. I think the story of this game was the Duke defense, the return of the Duke defense that we've expected, that we've grown to love, that has made this team the number 1 team in the land. Like I said earlier, Clemson had 22 points in the first half. Over the final 7:45 of the first half, Clemson did not score a single field goal. I'm going to go out on a limb, Donald, and say that when you don't score, you don't win in basketball.
That was almost a defensive kill shot, right? They almost went 10 minutes without a field goal.
It's just crazy. In the first half, Clemson shot 22% from the field, just 15% from 3. They got a little better in the second half, but over the course of the game, they were 36% on their 2-point field goals, 28% on their threes. I just want to read you what some of the better players on Clemson did in this game. Dylan Hunter, 1 of 6. Ace Buckner, 2 of 10. Nick Davidson, 1 of 5. That's just up and down the lineup. These are some of their top scorers. These are some of their best players. And these guys just could not get anything going at all in this game. Again and again and again, they had to take difficult shots where Duke was keeping them away from the basket, contesting everything, forcing them into contested shots with the shot clock running down and stuff like that. It's what we've seen from Duke so many times this year. And there hasn't been a team yet who's really come up with a good answer to when Duke is playing that kind of defense. You got to just get super hot the way Florida State did. You got to hit shots that nobody has any business hitting, because if you're just playing regular basketball, you're crushed. You're going to get 22 points and a half.
I mean, Jason, I'm sorry. I'm disappointed in you because you had the opportunity to say Butta Johnson and you didn't. So I'm going to mention Butta Johnson was 2 for 8 tonight. So I just wanted to mention his name because his name is Butta Johnson.
That is the best name going. That is so good.
If you have that opportunity, Jason, you take it. But I think last night, again, there was still, again, talk of people like, oh, everything has changed and this is the new Duke team. Sure it is. Yeah. But we had to embrace that. And as I mentioned, you have to embrace the roles. You have to understand that sometimes these roles take time to fill in. Kayden wasn't great yesterday. Nick wasn't terrific yesterday. But sometimes it takes a couple of days for you to understand what your role is and how to execute it. And sometimes it takes a different look of an opponent to get in, to really get you into this mode where you feel like everything you do is right. And so I like that these guys bounced back and said, hey, I know we had a bad game by our standards. And it took Florida State missing a shot at the end for us to win by 1. Sure, that you could go ahead and crash out on that if you want to, but this team has been locked and loaded since day one about how to get better every single day. This team took many steps tonight because who knows if Pat's going to be back next Thursday when we debut in the NCAA tournament. Who knows if Caleb Foster is going to be on the floor if we get all the way to the Final Four. Who knows if he's going to be ready. We're hoping that we get deep so that he has this chance to come back. But in the meantime, we have to go with these 7 guys. And these guys are going to get better every single day at how to play as a group of 7. And so tomorrow, again, they get another opportunity to be better than they were tonight. And tonight, I thought they were really good.
Last thing I have in the good, actually, I want to mention Clemson left Darren Harris alone. Clemson, that's a mistake.
Yeah.
What are you thinking leaving Darren? That is a mistake. Yeah. But the last thing I wanted to mention in the good was the Blue Devils once again dominated, crushed, and destroyed a team on the boards. Final rebound margin here is 41-27. Now, the crazy thing, though, even though Duke out-rebounded them 41-27, we only won points in the paint 24-20. We only won second chance points 12-11. The other specialty stats, we got crushed on points off turnovers 17-5. We get lost badly on fast break points 9-3. None of this really mattered because Clemson couldn't hit a shot. But once again, one of the hallmarks of this team, the defense is usually there. The rebounding is like always there. 41-27 rebounding advantage for Duke. It doesn't look like there's much of anybody in the country who can play with Duke on the boards.
I think the last thing related to the rebounding, and we kind of talked about it in the first game, but the rebounding being there is a part of footwork, but also it felt like this team didn't feel the labor of last night, right? It didn't look like this team was tired. They might have been, and probably sure they were, but like they didn't feel like this team that, and we'll talk about the fact that yesterday they should have been playing at noon, right? And John Shire made a quick note about the fact that, hey, they moved us to 7 p.m. because they wanted some prime time, but we didn't get the advantage of being the number 1 seed tonight. And I think that, like, the fact that this team did not play like they were tired is a really good thing, because you're going to have to, again, suck it all back up and be ready tomorrow at a later time to produce. And they know that there's no blowing them out by 20, blowing them out by 50. It doesn't matter. It's not like you can bring in a fresh set of guys so that they can get the rest. They're all going to play 20 to 30 minutes. So I like the fact that this team somehow felt stronger and looked stronger on the floor than they did last night. So let's take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to talk about some of the things to improve in this game. We'll talk about play of the game, and we're going to do a quick preview of the game tomorrow night, or I guess tonight, against UVA. So stick around.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Refreshing wild cherry cola meets smooth cream. The treat you deserve. Pepsi Wild Cherry and Cream. Treat yourself.
This episode is brought to you by Stouffer's. Here comes three-time juggling champion Natalia Rogers. She's juggling law school, her TA job. Oh, narrowly catches the laundry. What's that fourth ball? Parents unexpectedly showed up at dinner time? Is that too much for Natalia? Not with Stouffer's Chicken Alfredo and its mouth-watering mix of Asiago, Romano, and Parmesan. When you're juggling four things at once and the clock strikes dinner, think Stouffer's.
All right, we are back. We are discussing the 73-61 win over Clemson. We shifted to things to improve in this game. And again, Jason, nitpicky things, because I thought we, for the most part, were in control of this game. There were a couple of things that I thought we needed to work on. The one thing, there's two things that I thought were very notable. One, we only had 9 assists on 23 field goals.
Yeah.
And I think that goes hand in hand with the fact that we were still just a tad sloppy, right? We had 11 turnovers. That was down from last night where we had 15, but still, again, your number's 12. We obviously want to be under 10 is really what we want to be, because that means that we're moving the ball around well and we're keeping in control on offense. And I just think there's still a few times where it feels like guys want to take on too much in one possession. Like we're going to get some kill shot 10-0 run in just one possession. That's obviously not going to happen. So I think these guys just need to slow it down just a little bit more on some of these possessions and make sure that they're making the right pass, because when they do, they're hitting. And I think those are the things that I thought were the biggest theme on the bad side, was just a tad bit sloppy, and because of that, we weren't really crisp in moving the ball around.
Yeah, like you said, 11 turnovers is not awful, but it was problematic. Clemson, by the way, only had 6 turnovers, so good on them. They just couldn't hit a shot. But Kaden Boozer had 4 turnovers. I think at least 3 of them were on passes to Malik Brown. Like he threw a lob, he threw a pocket pass, tried to thread the needle. None of it worked. The passes to Malik, it was kind of crazy how much they weren't working on this game. And as long as I'm mentioning Malik, I mean, a really quiet game from him. He has foul trouble, limits him to 21 minutes. He didn't score until he had a literally last second, tip in the final minute or so. Only 3 rebounds total, 2 steals, but usually you expect more than that out of Malik if he's going to, play heavy minutes. And perhaps most telling, his plus minus was -9. Like everyone on Duke had pretty good plus minuses except for Malik. That -9 sticks out a little bit. Scott Rich, our designated sub, theorized. He said, and I want if this happens, I want Scott to get credit for it. He said he wouldn't be surprised to see Nick Himemenia starting tomorrow to sort of ease Malik back into the role that Malik has had this whole year of being the guy who comes off the bench as opposed to the guy who starts. My response to Scott on that was, I don't think that's going to happen, partially because the past 2 games that Malik started, he played great. Those are arguably his 2 best games of the year as a starter. So I don't think that there's this one game doesn't make me go, oh, Malik is freaked out by starting. Clearly, that's not the case. But I also think, and I don't want us to get us into previewing Virginia yet, but Virginia's really big. And I think Duke's going to want to play both of our bigs off the bat. We're going to need to be very, very careful about Virginia's size in this game tomorrow. So I don't think you see Nick starting, but I did want to mention, I just thought, after 2 really great games, this was not a very good game from Malik. And if we're talking about guys who didn't have a great game, Isaiah 0 of 7 on 3-pointers. I didn't think we'd see it.
I didn't see that coming especially after last night.
Yeah. 1 of 9 overall. And by the way, the other 2 shots he took were both mid-range jumpers. He hit one of them. He missed one of them. But he never took the ball to the bucket the way he usually does. Part of that is Clemson playing really physical defense on him. They weren't letting him, the times he tried to take the ball in the lane, I think they were able to knock it away or they were able to knock him off his line. But this was just not a great game from Isaiah. I do like the fact, though, that he figured out other ways to help. He had 10 rebounds.
I was going to say that was.
I haven't looked.
Great.
I can't imagine that Isaiah's had a game with 10 rebounds. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a career high for him. You can talk a little bit, and I can look at his career stats. But that's a really nice way of Isaiah finding other ways to help this team out. We've talked all year about the fact that he needs to be more than just a 3-point shooter. Well, he was not a 3-point shooter in this game, so his more was the rebounding.
I think the only thing that I have, and again, kind of related to the sloppiness, is something that you alluded to kind of in the good, is the fact that Clemson had 17 points off of turnovers to our 5. That disparity is one that I haven't seen be so great against us this year. So again, it's just testament to clean up the sloppiness. We're going to really, a 12-point difference. They only have 61 points. We're looking at a team that's in the 40s if you kind of hone down the turnovers and make it where they're not scoring off of those turnovers. So that's really where I'm, again, the sloppiness, there's what's expected from playing 3 days, three games in 3 days, but also the easiest thing to clean up, because if you clean up the sloppiness, the other team, like on paper and on the court, we're going to be better than a lot of these teams. We don't want to give them easy points or also easy momentum by giving them the ball when they shouldn't have it.
I just checked. Not only is 10 rebounds Isaiah's career high, he's never had more than 6 rebounds in a game. So I think he surpassed his career high in the first half with his rebounds. I had a couple other super quick notes. These are not like, big themes, right? Just little things I jotted down during the game. I thought that Isaiah got, on the opening possession, Duke committed a turnover. Isaiah, I believe, got pushed to the ground. He did not slip. He got pushed to the ground, and they didn't call it. On Duke's very next possession, I thought Dame got fouled, and they didn't call it. I was like, refs, what? I thought the officiating was very inconsistent in this game. Sometimes they were calling it tight. Sometimes they were calling it really, really loose and letting folks get away with stuff. And again, both of Duke's opening possessions, first 2 possessions, I thought easily could have been fouls that did not get called. Kaden Boozer tipped in a rebound for them. Kayden should have 18 points. Not 16. He should, or maybe he should have 14 because he gets negative 2 points. I'm not sure how that works, but I'm just kidding, of course. But I did note that we fouled a 3-point shooter. You cannot do that. Do not do that, Duke. You're so great on defense. Don't bail guys out. And the guy we fouled was way out there. He was well beyond the 3-point line. And then the last thing I had was Look, I love a lot of things about Dame Sarr's game. Dame going 1-on-2 on the fast break, which he does a lot, it very rarely works out. His handle isn't there well enough. He doesn't know how to sort of collect himself and go up with power to elevate enough. It feels like he's always stretched out a bit, and so he's not getting much elevation. Dame on the fast break is maybe not a good thing for Duke.
Well, look, that is a direct cause or a direct effect of him doing it once and dunking the life out of two people. Remember a couple games ago where he kind of did that back and he just said, you know what? F it. Bam. Well, you get that, you go, hey, I could do that again. Look, I do it all the time. I got this hole. I've seen that hole before. Last time I did that, I absolutely smoked these fools. I'm going to do it again. It doesn't always work out that way. So you got to play within the flow of the offense. Jason, let's get to the play of the game. What do you got?
So there to me, there weren't a lot of sequences that stood out as super special. I was tempted to take the like I said, that sort of crazy wrong-footed runner that Kaden Boozer had in the lane with about a minute left, because like I said, it felt like it really deflated Clemson a lot. But instead, I wanted to go with the two guys who I think were the story of the game because of the way they were able to provide the secondary scoring and overall play. With 4:25 left in the first half, Nick had the ball in the post and was getting doubled. And Kayden cut to the basket, and Nick made a really, really sweet pass to him that Kayden finished nicely, got fouled, and had the and one. That play, by the way, was Duke's kill shot. That play gave Duke a 10-0 run. It gave us an 11-point lead, and we really never looked back from that moment at all. We just continued to expand on that lead for the most part until it reached the point where the game was, functionally non-competitive anymore. But I thought it was great recognition by Nick. And a really nice pass by him, and then a beautiful finish by Kayden. And he hit the free throw to complete the 3-point play.
So I'm going to go with Cam's little awkward runner with 1 minute left, because I believe that put us up either 18 or 20. I don't remember, but it put us up at a point where I was like, okay, this is a comfortable lead. We don't have to necessarily worry about them mounting a quick run to start the second half and making it where we're tied up again. This is where we can come out in the second half and kind of let loose. And let loose we did. So, yeah, and like you said, when they hit that shot, the fact that Virginia thought, everybody on Virginia's team was like, we did a great job of defending this man.
You mean Clemson? You said Virginia, you mean Clemson.
I'm sorry, Clemson, excuse me.
Yeah.
Clemson we did a great job of defending this man, and he still did that. What coach, just take us in the locker room and tell us what we need to do to fix this, because we can't fix it on the floor, because clearly this guy is on another level than us. So I really enjoyed that play. And again, I thought that play took it from this is a good lead at halftime into this is a very comfortable lead, and it's going to really take a miracle for Clemson to really dig themselves out of it. So let's leave that, Jason, in the past, because as we are now on Pi Day, 3/14, March 14th, a little after almost 1 a.m. here on the East Coast, we have a game at 8:30 p.m. tonight against Virginia. And we're going to quickly preview that game because we just saw them 2 weeks ago in Cameron. And we saw that game and we remember how that game went. But since they have played, or since we played in Cameron a couple weeks ago, they've won every game, 4-0. They beat Virginia. I'm sorry, they beat Wake Forest by 5. They beat Virginia Tech by 4 to close out the regular season. And then in the ACC tournament in the quarterfinals, they beat NC State 81-74. And then tonight in the semifinal, they beat Miami 84-62. So, Jason, quickly talk about what you see in this team. Again, we don't necessarily need to get into the metrics or anything, but last time we played, DeRitter, their best player, was the only UVA player in double figures. We also have Agona Unyesu, who was first team all defense. He's had 12 blocks in the ACC tournament. He had 8 against NC State. He had 17 points against Miami. And this is a team that without Big Pat, we don't have as much size as we normally do, especially when we played them before.
Yeah, the thing I was gonna talk about Onyenso because, as you mentioned, the 12 blocks is just a crazy number. But they're using him on offense a lot more than they had earlier in the season. Throughout most of the year, he was like getting 2, 4, maybe 6 or 8 points, but really not a guy who was going to get into double figures. Well, in 2 of their past 3, he had 16 against Virginia Tech in their season finale. He had 8 against NC State, but then he had 17 points in this game that they just played against Miami. 17 points, 7 of 7 on his 2-point field goals, and he's taking some 3-pointers. Like this guy suddenly when he's stepping out and taking threes. He's turning into a bigger and bigger threat for them, and a more and more significant player. And like you said, we don't have Patrick Gungba. Malik Brown does a lot of things really great. Malik is not a rim protector. Malik doesn't have the size of a lot of other big men. And I think one of the places Virginia's going to try and take advantage of Duke is on the inside with Onyenso and to a lesser extent, Johan Grunlow, who's their other center. Although, those two guys were sort of splitting time. Lately,
Grunlow starts and Onyenso comes off the bench.
Yeah, but lately Onyenso has been playing a lot more than Grunlow because he's been playing a lot better. But I think it's a real challenge if Virginia's finding production out of their centers. The fact of the matter is, Tista Ritter is going to be a load. Just really, he's going to try and take the ball, let you get you in foul trouble, score in the post. He just has a variety of moves. He's a 23-year-old freshman who's been playing professional basketball since Kaden Boozer was in 8th grade. This guy, Tista Ritter, can really, really cause problems for you. If they're able to surround him with another big, that's a real potential problem for the Blue Devils. I was really confident, Donald. I'm going to say it. I was really confident coming into this Clemson game. I'm not feeling super confident about this Virginia game because I just think Virginia, the way Duke is hurt, I think presents extra problems against Virginia unless we get Malik and Nick really doing a great job of complementing Cam, which they can. There's no question about it. But we're going to need something like that to combat what Virginia is able to present on the front line.
So I did come up with a couple of things to watch in this game because, as you mentioned, things have changed in a couple weeks, right, for both teams. And the first thing, I think, just based on Duke, what we've done so far in the ACC tournament, is we need to play a lot cleaner. We need to eliminate the sloppiness. Virginia is going to take advantage. They like to take advantage of teams who play sloppy. I also think that one thing we didn't do tonight that we did when we played UVA a couple weeks ago is move the ball around. Sure, we hit shots, but it was a complement of moving the ball around. We had 17 assists against UVA the other night. I think we only had 9 tonight. So that's we're right here like half of what we did against UVA. And UVA with their defense, they're going to allow you to pass the ball around. We did a great job of getting into spaces where they weren't, and we also hit shots. It's one thing to do it in Cameron. It's going to be obviously another thing to do it in the ACC tournament final. But I think that moving the ball around against this team, that's where we're going to exploit some of the weaknesses that we may, or the deficiencies we may have with Caleb Foster and Big Pat out. Like the bigs for UVA will be neutralized if we're moving the ball around them and still getting it to our guys. But at the end of the day, you still have to hit those shots. I think the last thing that I have is actually one and 1A. One is take that defense to the next level. We've seen this defense really be strong. I think tonight it was really strong. It took another step tonight. But if we could take it to another level, we can really make it where the pressure is on UVA and not on us. If we don't have a good defense, that puts a lot of pressure on our offense. And when you are missing a couple guys who provide in that department, it makes everyone have to labor a little bit. And like we've said before, you don't want to expend unnecessary resources to catch up in a game or keep a team at arm's length. But our defense is the key that makes the pressure shift to them and makes it where UVA feels like they have to, make their deficit up on every single possession. So if we're able to do that, that's fine. But I think the last thing I'll say is what I've said throughout this tournament and even before this tournament, everyone contributes in a positive way. You don't have to score a single point to be a positive influence on this game. But when you have 7 guys, all 7 guys need to come up big for us to cut down the nets in Charlotte. So I'm looking at that, Jason. Anything else you want to comment on the UVA game?
Yeah, really quick. I wanted to remind everyone Virginia is one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country, top 10 in the country at offensive rebounding. The battle of the boards, which I spoke about earlier, how successful Duke is. Duke out-rebounded Virginia 37-29 in our last game. We've got to keep them off the boards. We've just got to prevent Virginia from getting offensive rebounds. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is this. They played in their game against Miami today. They had 9 different guys play double-digit minutes. And Duke has faced teams that were suffering from injuries, faced teams that were shallow. At this point, Duke is about as shallow as you can imagine a team being in terms of the rotation. Virginia is the exact opposite. They have their full complement of players. Everybody that they want to play is playing and playing serious minutes. They had one guy play 31 minutes. That was the most anyone played in this game. And as a reminder, because the ACC and ESPN wanted to put this Duke game late in prime time, we played the late game. So we get, 2.5, 3 hours less sleep and rest than Virginia does. But it will be a very, very well-rested Virginia Cavaliers team that Duke plays tomorrow. This is going to be a super, super tough game.
The last thing I have on this game is mental toughness is going to be the key. That's what happens when you play 3 games in 3 days. But I also want to mention a couple of people. Kaden Boozer, Dame Sarr, Kaden Boozer, Himemenia, Jack Scott. None of them have won an ACC title yet. And they can do that tonight. If they put their heads together, then this can be a team that can cut down the nets. And I hope for the veterans that did this last year, the guys that I didn't mention that were on this team last year, hopefully they have an opportunity to show them the way and say, this is what we need to do to win this. This is the mental toughness we need to have. But at the end of the day, it's going to take all 7 guys that are on that floor to be mentally tough. It's hard. I get it. It's hard to play 35, 40 minutes every single night for 3 nights in a row. But sorry, that is what we are asking you to do. We are asking you to put that back on the line tonight against UVA and against a team that it's already difficult to beat a team twice, but we're asking you to do that too. And I think in the end, if the mental toughness is there, this team will cut down these nets. So everybody get some rest. Jason, you and I are going to try to get some sleep because today, on Saturday, Pi Day, we play for an ACC championship once again and hopefully join the women as back-to-back ACC tournament champions. We will leave it here on this episode of the DBR podcast. We will be back after the UVA Duke game, probably not on Saturday night, probably Sunday morning as we prepare for Selection Sunday. But until then, he's Jason. I'm Donald. It's time to get some sleep and let the Duke band play us a lullaby.